Numero 4. I like that. I like Andrew Luck. That's a good one.
Number 4.
I don't think he's going to get taken before the 10th round.
Okay.
And I think his upside's amazing. Is what guy we just talked about? Jimmy G.
You think people are going to avoid Jimmy G
I don't
until the 10th?
I don't think he'll go higher than the 10th because I think, like you said, most leagues 10 to 12 teams.
Mm-hmm.
The top 4 will go.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you'll have guys that take Rivers, guys that take Stafford, Roethlisberger, Manning even. Mm-hmm. They may think, you know what I mean? So that's 3 more.
Yeah.
You got more than half the league done drafting, and you know what? Those runs that happen in the 6th and 7th rounds. Oh, someone started taking tight ends.
Mm-hmm.
Someone took Kelsey. I gotta get in there. You know what I mean?
Right.
So the runs that'll happen, he'll just get lost. And I think then by the time someone comes back to it, you're like, you know what? Let me take a shot on Garoppolo. Let me take him. Let me see.
If you were savvy enough to grab him in a dynasty league off of the waiver wire, then good for you, right? Because in an auction style format, I see Jimmy G as being an explosive guy. Because as soon as you put up a player like Jimmy G in an auction style format, regardless of how late in the draft it is, he's a player that I think some people will go, oh man, if I can get him for under ceiling, like if I can get him for under $20 out of a $200 cap, if I can get him for under $20, that's great. So he's a player that there's going to be a lot of early action on in an auction draft because everybody will want to get him under a certain dollar figure because again, he's kind of an enigma. You don't exactly know what you have.
Yeah.
What you saw looked great. Like
he dropped 40 points on Jacksonville.
He looked great.
I mean, that was amazing. And the thing too about him that's very interesting is that you look at Shanahan. That's one of the things that makes him so intriguing.
Exactly.
Is he Shanahan because at the same token is a Manning. He's got Shermer there now.
Yeah.
Look how well Keenum did. You don't think that Manning would be able to repeat or like have that type of success?
Sure. I mean, if we had to pick a San Francisco 49er, I can't even say that I would pick Garoppolo as a sleeper. Jerick McKinnon is who I would take because McKinnon he could be fantastic because of Shanahan, right?
Yes.
Look at Shanahan's success with running backs. Now, granted, Shanahan didn't have that much great success last year, but there were no San Francisco running backs healthy throughout the whole year. Breida was hurt most of the year.
I've never seen Hyde catch a pass.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So there were a lot of problems with that running back stable.
Yeah. So you're talking about, I mean, where he came from in Atlanta,
right?
Having 2 running backs that could catch the ball, which was he got gifted 2 running backs.
Oh God, yeah.
So the fact is he needs somebody it's a dual threat as far as receiver. Okay.
Yeah. So you got McKinnon there, you got Breida there. There's another kid, Jamal Williams.
I know you're talking about too. They got a 3rd running back that was drafted last year as well. I know you're talking about.
I don't remember.
Williams.
Yeah, it's Williams.
It's a Williams.
I just don't remember the first name. So you really do have 3 running backs there, all who can catch the ball. Yes. So McKinnon is, I think, going to be dangerous from a dynasty sleeper perspective because I know he's going to get a lot of action, but if you're in a PPR league, he carries a ton of value.
Yeah, he'll go before the 10th in a PPR.
Yeah, but in a standard league, I don't. If you're not in a point per reception league, I don't think McKinnon carries the value. I think you can get him in the 10th.
You see him rushing for more than 80 yards
exactly,
a game?
That's what I mean. I think he's going to get a lot of receptions in that offense. I think that's going to be where he's used. So in a standard league, he doesn't carry that kind of value. But again, in a dynasty league, if your dynasty league is PPR, he carries a ton of value because he's still relatively young. He hasn't really played that much.
No, he hasn't.
He doesn't have a lot of tread on the tires, and he's there for a while. They gave him a pretty big deal, so he's going to be there for a while. So I think he's a guy in a dynasty league. If you're in a PPR, he makes a lot of sense. But if you're just in a standard non-PPR league, he's a 10th. I think you can get him in the 10th. And he'll still be fine. He'll be your flex.
Yeah, he's a solid flex too.
He's a solid flex player, but I wouldn't put him as RB1 or RB2 in a standard league.
But once again, when you want to think about that division,
that's what I mean.
The Seattle's defense has been gutted.
Yeah,
and it's going to get gutted a little bit more when Thomas leaves.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is you have to look at who he's going against and what he's going to be doing. He doesn't have any familiarity with that division, which is interesting because a lot of these guys, when they leave the current team, a lot of times they'll go inside the division.
I never understood that
because they have familiarity. They have some they're very familiar with those. If they've had success in that division, being in that division or staying there, it's like something. It's like the devil you know. You know what I mean? You may travel outside the division and play the teams from the west, the east, or whatever, but if you're always there, you know you've traveled to those cities. You're comfortable. You know what I mean? So it's like a player that's like that. It's almost like a player that leaves the Yankees and he wants to go to the Mets because like, hey, I'm still going to stay here.
I'm still going to be in New York.
I'm still familiar. I know where all the flights go out of here, away games and stuff like that. So,
yeah, I mean, I suppose I see that point. I mean, to compare Garoppolo to McKinnon, I think you can get either of them in the 10th round, regardless of format. You got it. You got to snag him.
But Garoppolo will go after McKinnon because running backs are so valued, so much more.
Well, you have to have more of them on your roster. In a standard league, again, looking at one quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 receivers, you need the running back. The running backs carry more declining value because as you get later into the draft and as the starters become more and more sparse, that's the problem is they're starters. With a quarterback in a standard 1 QB league, it's not hard to pick up a second quarterback along the way. You may not like him, but you can grab one.
Yeah.
So your number 4 is Garoppolo.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Where's his biggest value? What format to you?
I think that his biggest format is probably, like you said, if it comes down to an auction, you're able to get him under $20, maybe the 15 to 17 range. You're in good shape. You're in pretty good shape. I think a standard league because he's going to have because one guy we didn't mention when we mentioned Rivers, Stafford, and Manning was Matt Ryan. Right. Mr.
Matty Ice.
Matty Ice is if you've ever had Matty Ice in a fantasy league, I sympathize because I had him for 2 years in a row, and one was the highest of highs, and one was the lowest of lows.
That's what he does.
He's peaks and valleys.
Yeah.
Hopefully, Jimmy can avoid that, but I don't think he had the peaks and valleys when he was with Shanahan. That's the only thing. But the thing is that those guys are always lumped into the same group. Jimmy G can be like that. A guy that'll give you about 30 plus touchdowns, 4,000 yards.
Yeah, about.
No, I mean that's where all those guys are. Rivers is there.
And
Manning is there.
And Garoppolo has the ability to snag you some rushing yards as well. So I think they're going to be a little bit more open with what they expect out of him this year. Because remember, he got traded for during the season, which never happens.
No.
Right? And they didn't start him right away, and they caught a lot of heat for it. But he was working off an adjusted minimal playbook. So I think this year will really be a test to see, okay, mentally, what kind of athlete are you, right? Can you handle the full playbook? Because they slowly kept opening up the playbook for him, but they never got the full potential from a playbook perspective out of him.
I really don't feel that. I don't feel that Brady took him under his wing.
No, I don't think Brady.
So I think a lot of the stuff that Garoppolo was learning in New England probably learned on his own and with the quarterbacks coach. I don't think Brady told him anything because Brady already knows. It's very easy to run the system.
Yeah, I like Garoppolo in the. I'd even go in a $200 auction league. I'd even go 25 for Garoppolo.
You're out of your mind.
I would. I'd go 25 for Garoppolo.
You wouldn't have to if he's going to go where you think he's going to go.
That's true.
He's not going to get nominated late, like early,
No.
unless you're just throwing out, somebody to mess with somebody in the early round. Here, go bid.
Oh my God. He's a great candidate for if you want to absorb somebody's money who needs a QB near like the 5th round, and you look and you already got your quarterback to throw out Garoppolo and then just bid up. Just bid him up. You could spend somebody's money in an auction. league
Trade
with Garoppolo.
secrets. Trade secrets.
I'm just saying, you
Knock
can spend
it
a
off.
lot of somebody else's money with Garoppolo.
It's like throwing a chicken wing in the middle of like 3 rabid dogs. Who's going to get it first?
That's right. That's right. All right, so number 4 is Garoppolo.
Yep.
All right, I get that. That makes sense.
All right. We'll bundle him with McKinnon. I like McKinnon.
McKinnon's a good value pick too.
I'll put those two together. We'll pair them because they're on the same squad.
All right.
Sounds fun.
Okay.